Hi, IWF. We're here with President Madeline. Welcome, Madeline. It's great seeing you. Tell us about your professional journey, where you're from, how you got to where you are now, and what you're doing now.
Thanks, Melanie. It's great to be here with you. So, as you said, I'm Madeline Pumariega. I'm the president of Miami Dade College, and I was born and raised actually in Miami, specifically in Hialeah, and oftentimes referred as the Hialeah girl. And because it's kind of, you can take the girl out of Hialeah, but you never quite take the Hialeah out of the girl. And I think it has to do with the way that I was raised, were, immigrant parents from Cuba, working in factories, going back to college, and making careers for themselves, and then being eternally grateful for this country for giving them the hope and the opportunity to dream and have their children here. So that's such a core value for me, I think, because of growing up in Hialeah and surrounded by the similar stories, giving up your bed for an aunt that came from Cuba and sleeping in what it wasn't until I was adult figured out was a rollaway bed, but we called it a ping pong poon. And then way late in my life, I was at a hotel and I went, oh my God, that's a rollaway bed. So, played basketball in high school and then ended up coming to Miami Dade College. Then it was Miami Dade Community College to play basketball on a women's scholarship, women's basketball
Wow.
scholarship.
Well, talk about your professional journey from that college basketball player to president of the college.
Yeah, pretty amazing. And so I then, went off and then came back and started at the college as a part-time academic advisor, then became a full-time academic advisor, like so many at our college do. They start in a part-time, they get an opportunity to be full-time. Then I, spent 20 years growing my career here, was a dean of students and dean of administration, and then a campus president in downtown campus, which is when I joined IWF for the first time. So I was the campus president of the Wolfson campus when a couple of IWF members like Julie Grimes and others said, you should really join. And so I joined, and that was my first tour with IWF. Then I left the college and ran a nonprofit organization, which was statewide, called Take Stock in Children. It's an organization that helps break the cycle of poverty through education. And I was doing that when then the governor asked me for the Florida college system. So I was appointed as the first female Hispanic chancellor and moved to Tallahassee, and then spent the next 6 years in Tallahassee, and got to come back in a full circle moment and become the first female president of Miami Dade College.
Yeah, it's such a great story. And that 6 years was a blink, because if you had asked me how long you were there, I would have said two. Well, tell us what you're doing now as president of the college. What's the college campuses?
Yeah, so we're excited. The college, began in Miami in 1960. So if you can think about our community in 1960, the first campus was in the northern part of the county. Fast forward and 64 years, and we're 8 campuses, 125,000 students, 2.5 million alumni. So it's hard to find a household in Miami-Dade County that hasn't been positively impacted by Miami-Dade College. Either it's an alum, someone who is studying at the college, or someone who's working at the college or doing business with the college. So I think as Miami's grown, Miami-Dade College has grown right next to our great city and county. So we're really transforming, building on that success, and kind of thinking about the future of work and the future of education, and how do we transform it and continue to transform lives. So we're the first institution across the country that has designated by the National Security Agency as a center of excellence for cybersecurity, both an associate and bachelor's degree. And we were the first in Florida to launch a college credit certificate, an associate's in science, and a bachelor's in artificial intelligence. Wow. And so those are 2 innovative areas. But then we do what we do so great, which is we have enough teachers in our classrooms and have the largest teacher pipeline in a partnership with Miami-Dade County, and make sure that our community is cared for, and have one of the largest nursing programs and partnerships with all of our hospitals to make sure they have the talent they need. So I'm really proud of the work that we're doing, to not only just have academic excellence in terms of, importantly, in workforce programs, which is what our community needs and what our students really are dreaming and thinking about the career they can enter to provide for their families.
Well, you've accomplished so much. Is there one significant professional achievement you're particularly proud of? Did you already name it?
No, I think all of them. I think to think that I just grew up in Hialeah, and to, no way could I have ever dreamed this big. To think that I would be back and be the president of the college. But I'm really proud. I think, when I think about being inducted into the Hall of Fame at the college and Miami-Dade County Public Schools, that I'm proud of those things. They're simple, but such big things about representation and what it says to girls in our community and what it sends to students in our community, that you can do it with hard work and dedication and commitment and vision. You really can make your dream come true, for whatever that dream may be. So I'm proud of those. I don't, really think about chalking up the accomplishments. Like, I think about the launching the presidential scholars in Miami-Dade County. I'm super proud of, but I'm really proud of this partnership that we put together with IWF sister, our mayor, Daniela Levine Cava, and Future Ready scholarships. And that's going to provide an opportunity for every student in our community graduating from high school to attend Miami-Dade College and have an opportunity to receive a scholarship. So they graduate with no debt and earn their associates. And those are the things that I think I'm even more proud of than what might be personal accolades to me. It's leveraging the position to create opportunities for others.
Yeah, that's an amazing program. Well, let's talk about mentors. Is there a particular role model or mentor that contributed to your success? And then tell us, what the best advice was that you ever received, even if it wasn't from that same person.
Best advice is stay humble and stay kind. It's a great Tim McGraw song that turned out to be a great song. But I think staying grounded in who you are and where you come from, and never kind of forgetting that. So I think that's important, and it's how I probably live every day. And a role model, I have to start with my mom. She's a teacher. She retired from Miami-Dade County Public Schools. I think about, she came from Cuba. She went to work in a factory, and then she went to Dade Junior College in 1971, and got her start in terms of getting her certificate in education and being a teacher for 35 years. So I think when I think about just the steadiness of my mom, first of all, being a mom first, and the power of education just in her life, certainly is an important role model. And then I think you have role models for different seasons in your life. Sometimes you're fortunate enough that you have one role model that sees you through all of the seasons. I don't think that always happens. And I've had different role models for the different season in my life. But I think the idea that you don't need a mentor or someone to bounce ideas off or to learn from is pretty self-absorbed. We all need people who sometimes are formal mentors, but oftentimes are informal mentors. I always like to say you need a board of advisors, and that's your board of mentors. And they bring different skill sets. And most importantly, they see life through a different lens that you might not have. And so then together you might see it in a much more collaborative way.
Yeah, I think of Tony Randolph always saying she has a kitchen cabinet. So
I love that. I love that. You're right. You're right. That is absolutely.
Well, you're everywhere in the community, it feels like all the time. Is there a particular place that you connect in the community or in your off time outside your profession?
I have to tell you, I love IWF. There isn't a dine around that I don't participate in, that I leave and I think, oh, it's so special to be in a room full of women, full of sisters, do the work that we do, and we have the careers that we have, and we juggle the life that we have, to spend in a room with like-minded sisters that are on the journey of making better communities and making a difference is fills the soul, and you have to leave out time to fill that soul. So I think that's really important for me in making that time to do the dine arounds. And I think things that are giving back, whether it's visiting a high school or a group of students and being able to talk about, my life and connect to their life, and give them that kind of just hope and inspiration to keep going, is another place that I think fuels my heart and soul. And I think that those are the important places to be at. What's the stuff that makes you really, really feel good? Because we do so many have to meetings, and carving out space for doing the stuff that is just the one that's really meaningful.
Agreed. Well, tell me, what are you learning about now?
AI.
Yeah.
AI. So the college has been somewhat of just a trailblazer around artificial intelligence. In 2021, we had 500 of our faculty go through training around artificial intelligence. By 2022, we had created president innovation grants. And so those grants were for faculty to kind of think about, how will you use AI to help students be more successful or have better learning outcomes. And then we built the programs, and then came ChatGPT. And a lot of institutions were thinking about banning ChatGPT, and we were embracing it. And so now we're at a place where we've are really thinking about, how do you institute it at the college in terms of creating efficiencies? How do we think about the policies, the ethics, the access? And so reading a book about, competing in the age of AI, and not only just competing from the education space, because without a doubt, ChatGPT democratized information, but it hasn't democratized knowledge and education.
Mhm.
And I believe that education has a real opportunity to be able to provide greater access and success through leveraging AI and how students learn, because it's changing the way that we learn, the way that we play, earn, and every part of it. And foundational to it is AI for good. How do we leverage and harness this? So it's one of the areas I've fully involved in all sectors at the college, and really beyond, in terms of just giving some of our thoughts and thought leadership around how you bring AI not only into education, but even into the business sector.
Yeah, it's definitely a game changer. Um, Tell us a fact about you. I have a series of now fun questions. Tell us a fact about you we couldn't find on the internet. And there is a lot about you on the internet.
I know. I don't know. I jumped off a plane and went skydiving. You probably couldn't find that on the on
No,
on the internet.
that's great. In my here in Miami in down south in Homestead.
Yep, out in Homestead. So that was,
Nice.
pretty fun. I think that's a fun fact. I don't think too many people think I did that. I guess probably you could probably find it on the internet, but it's not a fun fact, but it's a fact that's so important to me, and that's being a mom and my daughter Alyssa.
What book podcast are you recommending now?
Oh, that's a good one. Oh, that's a good one. My it can't be my obsession, I guess, with HDTV and redoing things. So I'm not a binge TV watcher, believe it or not. But I love all of the podcasts around Simeon Sinek and finding your why, and really like being grounded, because I think that purpose and passion is so important, because it's the driver of like why we do what we do, and not just our professional but in our personal. And I love everything that has to do with growing, how you have more self-awareness and how you have a growth mindset about who you are, and being the very best you can. For me, that's being the best person and version of myself, for me, but for my daughter, for the college, for our community, as a daughter. So I love to, really dive into podcasts that kind of go that way, and then books that really take another depth and learning, and been doing that around AI and kind of other areas.
Well, that's a good transition. What book have you gifted most often?
So one of the ones I've gifted often is Good to Great, because as a leader, it's so important, as we have leaders, the understanding the role of a manager and a leader, and the importance of moving yourself from not just being good to great, and simple things like having the right people on the right roles at the college, not stopping the flywheel. And not stopping the flywheel is about being humble enough that you're building on someone's success. It's easy when you have a new role to think you have the answer. It's much more effective to build on someone else's success and honor that, and then continue to drive greatness throughout. And so I think that's when I gift and refer a lot to. I got an opportunity to interview Rashima, and she did Brave, Not Perfect at Emerge.
Mhm.
And that was so good. That book, I would say, I would buy and have behind my desk and give to everyone that comes to visit, about Brave, Not Perfect, because especially for women, I for perfection. And there is no such thing as perfection. Um, it's just a matter of being the best that you can and making those decisions that sometimes are brave. So one, I loved sharing the stage with her and her energy, but I loved probably every page of her book talking about brave and not perfection.
Great. Wrote that one down. I haven't read that one yet. What is,
Especially for women, not
yeah,
in our strive to be perfect. And so it's brave, not perfect.
what is the most exciting, memorable adventure you've had outside of your career?
Oh, I love traveling. So I would say some of the fun things. I just came back from Madrid. My daughter's doing a study abroad, so did Madrid and drove all the way down to Barcelona to drop her off and hit some vineyards, and that was a lot of fun. And I would just say we're a big family of cousins, and we went on a cruise, like 47 of us.
Wow.
That in of itself is an adventure. And just making the memories, I think, is to me something that I treasure a lot.
Last question. If you were in charge of the playlist, what song would play next?
This Girl's on Fire.
Great selection. Well, thanks, Madeline. It was great seeing you, and thanks for being interviewed.
Thanks, Melanie. Appreciate it. I love this, and what you're doing with the podcast and getting us to know each other just a little more.